because two of them are just amazing on screen, and they just had this aura about them that made it feel like that is Professor Charles Xavier with his. That's what he looked like, and Gandalf is Magneto and Gandalf at the same time. He just needs to put on a hat, and he can change between the two characters.
These two characters are the centre of the X-Men universe.
Yes.
You're on our turf now.
Yes, they are. They are definitely.
The whole dilemma that they always have, the rigidly good guy, and then
Don't hurt me.
the guy that sort of has good intentions but really just bad ways of going about things.
Yes. And it worked really, really well on screen, and we saw really good chemistry between the two of them. And you had the X-Men team, and obviously Magneto had his team as well, and Mystique was done really well as well, and the way she kind of was able to shift for that time back in 2000. The special effects were really cutting edge as well, so we were in for a great film. And then he followed that up with what is the strongest X-Men film to date at that point, which was X2. And then again, he raised the stakes. We had more actors come on board. We had more character development as well. We had Wolverine's story fleshed out more. We had more about Rogue, Iceman, Pyro in there as well. And the scene at the end where I think not so much at the end, but in the middle where Magneto turns around and turns Pyro over to the dark side, telling him he's a god amongst insects. And the way he does that, it's obviously you have to have a stellar actor to be able to do those kind of things, and Gandalf the Grey is spot on for the role. So it's not just an action-packed comic book film, it's got a deep story to it, and how Magneto can manipulate, or not so much manipulate, just kind of control the situation he's in to get his way. And he's kind of right in what he's saying, and at the same time the way in which he achieves that is always wrong, because obviously he's always saying that humans won't they don't quite get along with the mutants, and they never will, and he's right about that, but it's the way he goes about it. And Professor Charles Xavier's way of going through all of that is completely the opposite. So you get two very different casts there, and obviously the breakout from prison for Magneto is something again. It's just amazing the way that's shot.
Spectacular.
Where she puts the iron in his diet, and then he just pulls it out of him and just escapes. And it's done so well. It's just an amazing kind of overall film as well as a superhero film. So that's definitely my favourite X2, and it shows because critics love it. Everyone said it's the strongest in the franchise, and up until recently, it was definitely the best X-Men film ever made, I think. And then obviously we had this film, which you enjoyed, which I don't think anyone else kind of enjoyed as much as you.
I mean, I enjoyed all of the X-Men films really. I just like seeing the X-Men characters. Apart from the Wolverine side things, all the major films I enjoyed. But you didn't like it.
No, X-Men, The Last Stand. What can I say? It was Brett Ratner came in, and he just took away the story and kind of the characters, and he literally just thought, I've got 200 million to blow. Why don't I just get him to destroy everything? Let's take that whole San Francisco bridge. Let's wreck it. And because I know it's the first and only X-Men film I'll do, let me kill all the main characters or take away the powers. And pretty much just there's loads of key characters losing powers or dying and stuff. And there wasn't really a story to it, because the way everything kind of just happened so quickly, there wasn't enough time to give each character time on screen to explain what was going on or why things were happening. We did get to see new characters again. We got to see the Juggernaut played by the amazing Vinnie Jones. We had Beast played by Kelsey Grammer, who I think is great. And so again, always expanding the mutant kind of like in the X-Men film. In that sense, but no, definitely not my favorite. Even if you introduce some great characters, no, still no. Then after Last Stand, which you really loved or enjoyed because you thought it was a set piece, an action.
I didn't really love it. I just enjoyed it.
So it was the best comic book film ever made.
But they obviously let people down with the third one by just dismantling the entire universe, as you were saying before.
which you can do that, but you have to do it in a way where the rest of the film flows as well. You gotta have a good film to be able to pull that off, which I just don't think they did.
It was kind of crazy film, definitely. But then it did pave the way for the reboot. So.
Yeah, if there was never a rubbish third film, we would never have got X-Men First Class by Matthew Vaughn. So we had a good reboot come in for the first time. 20th Century Fox attempted a reboot of one of their superhero movies before this Fantastic Four stuff, and they got a good director on board, and they actually did it well because
we can keep your stuff.
We got a new story. We got young X-Men, so we got Professor Charles Xavier before he loses his ability to walk. You've got Magneto and Charles Xavier working together for the first time very early on. You get young Raven in there. You've got all the characters, but as younger versions. You've got Beast as well, who's got a big role in it. And that sense, it was better. And you get to see the helmet as well for the first time. Magneto's iconic helmet, which was used by Kevin Bacon's character.
And the origin story of Professor Xavier as well?
Yes, actually where he comes from and how Raven falls part of the whole X-Men initially, until she gets taken and she kind of sides with Magneto later on in the film, and that kind of concludes X-Men First Class, which was really good. And then we come into what is now, in my opinion, the best X-Men film ever made, and maybe one of the greatest comic book films ever made, is Bryan Singer's Days of Future Past, which is the Terminator of all comic book films. Go back in time. So we bring back the old star cast, which is great. First time we get to see Cable as well, which was great. Though he was only there for a little while, it was good to see him. We now had the very first kind of inkling that something's going to happen. There was a real peril because you see the new Sentinels, which were molded against Mystique's DNA, and the Sentinels you could not kill them, and there was real danger that all the X-Men and everyone were being wiped out by the new Sentinels. So with the help of Kitty, they send back in time the only man who can heal himself if he goes back in time, which is Wolverine. And so Wolverine goes back in time, and basically he goes back all the way back in time, but not to the point where Professor Charles Xavier lost his legs, where he should have gone back in time just maybe a couple of months earlier, helped him out, and then Professor Charles Xavier would never lost his walking. But he goes back in time, and then we get to see the Sentinels, we get to see the whole Magneto and Professor Charles Xavier working together. We also get the first introduction to a character who appears in Joss Whedon's film, and very differently, we get to see Quicksilver, who is one of two Magneto children, and he is very different in here to how he is in the Marvel universe. He's more fun, I would say, in X-Men Days of Future Past, because he's a kid and he pretty much helps his dad break out of prison, like every father and son duo. The first time they meet, the very first time they meet is breaking his dad out of prison. Very touching. But as the film kind of progresses, and we get back and forth, because we get glimpses of the future change because of what the actions are of Wolverine. And then when we see the end scene where we see all the X-Men back together, Halle Berry's there, you've got Cyclops there, you've got Jean Grey, and none of this ever happened in there because none of them remember any of this because of what Wolverine's done in the past. And we get to see the whole cast. Even Rogue has not died, which is great. Everyone's
and yet
back
they tied
to
it
normal.
all together.
Yes,
so tied the old universe to the new universe, which is awesome.
And that's what, it's really difficult to do, and I think he did a great job. And that's kind of like the end up until we're going to see Apocalypse, which is the cutscene right at the very end of Days of Future Past. If anybody sat there and watched the very end and they were shouting at the guys who's building the pyramids, that is Apocalypse, and he is maybe the most I'd say, the real kind of villain in all the comic book cartoons that used to come on. And yeah, the most iconic character as well that way, because I remember watching the cartoons and always Apocalypse. They could never stop him. So now he's here, his henchmen will be here, and it's all about the X-Men, and it's the in-between X-Men that we're going to see, which will be quite cool to see. Michael Fassbender again, we're going to see James McAvoy, and hopefully Patrick Stewart and Gandalf can make an appearance as well, because we just love them as
they are the best. Yeah,
they are. And that's
they are
why
two brilliant actors.
That's why seeing them in Days of Future Past was great, because old and new all together first time was amazing. And because of the 2000 film, Marvel producer Kevin was sat in on all of this and kind of came up with a rough sketch of what he thought Marvel's phases should work out and how. And if it wasn't for the 2000 film doing well, there'd be no cinematic universe that we all love today.
Yeah, Marvel Cinematic Universe.
They owe a lot to 20th Century Fox and to Bryan Singer.
Yeah. We've got X-Men. We've got to thank them for that, definitely.
Who's that?
Tying things together as well, how they brought one universe into another, really paved the way for other films to be able to do that. And also the development of multiple superheroes as well.
Yes, with the way the X-Men, with all the mutants that X-Men use, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to the next X-Men film, which I believe is out next year as well. Again, Bryan Singer's on board, so it's going to be great. We take away James and that giant killer thing that he made in between. I enjoyed the Superman film he directed, so I can't say he's made a bad film other than that, and maybe At Pupil, which starred, I think it was a swimmer. Swimmer was in it. It was all right, but yeah, he's made the usual suspects, so he can do anything he wants now. He's pretty much got free pass as far as I'm concerned, and he's made great X-Men films. So yeah, I'm looking forward to where the franchise goes next.
Yeah, me too, definitely. I'm happy with any X-Men film. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what comes out next.
You're on our
As long as they don't do more Wolverine doing stupid stuff on his own.
There is another Wolverine film in the works as well.
No!
Don't hurt me.
I mean, that's the funny thing is that they've got. I think Wolverine is probably the most. It's quite often people's favourite character from X-Men.
Come and get your whooping.
He's got the knife things that come out of his body, come out of his fist. And he can regenerate. Looks really cool, but he's not actually got that much that's very interesting about him. I mean, he's kick-ass character as a superhero, but he's no Professor Xavier and Magneto. That's got a lot more going on with the story. And it seems just to show a Wolverine thing on his own just seems to go completely off to a tangent.
It's because there was talks about all the other characters getting their solo films, and I think that never really worked because Brett Ratner killed off the franchise. Otherwise, everyone could have had their own origins film. Because there's talk about a Magneto film, a Storm film. Obviously, there's been talks about Gambit film for years. Deadpool's finally getting his own film as well. So the franchise and the universe is opening up slowly. It's taken a while, but I think if it wasn't for maybe the reboots and obviously Bryan Singer being back on board for Days of Future Past, none of this may have happened. So I'm excited for definitely excited for the X-Men universe. I'd like to see Magneto in Avengers at some point. I'd like to see Wolverine as part of an Avengers team as well. So if they could ever strike a deal with 20th Century Fox.
I think they're quite keen on keeping their franchise
self-contained.
They're making a lot of money out of it, and people are going to keep seeing this X-Men series. So yeah, Henna. Yeah.
That's it. We'll wrap it up there.
I was going to say something and I completely forgot what I was going to say.
So that's our review of the X-Men movies so far. Not the spin-offs, the real films.
No spin-offs. Yeah.